Pathway, an education and job training program developed to increase the number of skilled workers in the energy industry. Since then, 85% of the graduates have been hired by PG&E or the construction utility industry. Focusing on students in underserved communities, women, and military veterans, Power Pathway is helping the next generation of PG&E energy professionals build a better future for themselves and a clean energy future for California. To learn more, visit pge.com/powerpathway.
The Warriors in Chase Center are teaming up with DoorDash to fight food waste and food insecurity, one event at a time. Through our Pass the Plate program, all unserved food from Chase Center events is safely packaged and delivered to local nonprofits to help people in our community who are experiencing food insecurity. Thousands of meals have already been donated this month. To learn more, visit chasecenter.com/passtheplate.
Say you're a coach in Chase Center and need to draw up a last-second play. Or you're a fan in Section 212 craving nachos. AI from Google Cloud can help with both. The Warriors are using AI from Google Cloud to break down every move on the court, helping coaches game plan. And for fans, the same AI powers the mobile app, giving you personalized content, highlights, and yes, nachos ordered from your phone. With AI, you're always in the game, even off the court. Google Cloud, the official AI partner of the Golden State Warriors.
All members of Dub Nation know 2 essential truths. 1, the Warriors have the best point guard in the history of the game. And 2, the very best planes in the sky are United. New planes are joining the United fleet every week, decked out with Bluetooth connectivity, screens, and power at every seat, and bigger overhead bins to fit everyone's carry-on or giant foam fingers. Download the United app and book your next trip today. United Airlines, proud to be the official airline of the Golden State Warriors.
History's masterpieces wouldn't be the same without their most notable accents. Neither would the Kia Sportage without its multiple drive modes. The Kia Sorento without its expansive 12.3-inch panoramic display. Or the Kia Telluride without its 3 rows of spacious seating. The Kia SUVs. Kia, movement that inspires.
Call 800-333-4KIA for details. Always drive safely. Limited inventory available.
No matter what you're eating during today's Warriors game, sharing a jar of Mazzetta makes it better. Just pop open that red cap to give your favorite snacks something extra, like crunchy jalapenos on nachos or zesty peppercini on sandwiches and sliders. It's just better. Mazzetta is a family-owned Bay Area company providing peppers, olives, pickled vegetables, and sauces since 1935. At Mazzetta, we say that when you share your food, you share a part of who you are. So grab your family and friends and share some unforgettable flavors with Mazzetta.
Curry, pump fake, flyby, 3-ball, got it with the buzzer sounding!
You've been listening to Golden State Warriors basketball on the Warriors Radio Network. Presented by United Airlines. For tickets, visit Warriors.com or call 888-GSW-HOOP.
Don't you wish you were here?
This Odyssey Sports broadcast was presented by ZipRecruiter. Looking to hire? ZipRecruiter finds the best candidate for your job fast. Try it for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free.
Will heave it. No, he's going to throw it over to Santos, and that's going to end the game. Final score, Detroit hangs on. They had to work hard in the fourth quarter. Warriors made them work, 131-124, but it's a loss for Golden State. They go to 27-23 on the season, and the Detroit Pistons will pick up their 35th win against only 12 losses. Draymond Green with big hug for Jalen Duren. Draymond, of all the Warriors, he's a big fan of other NBA players. He loves the game, loves guys who work as hard as he does. Gets a big hug from Jarrett Jack, former teammate, and on the Detroit bench.
That's the voice of the Warriors, Tim Roy, calling the final seconds of this one. It was a loss, 131-124. Warriors fall to the Detroit Pistons here at Chase Center. Welcome into Warriors wrap-up on 95.7 The Game. Mark Grandy with you live at Dumpling Time in Thrive City. This place is popping right now. If you are in the area after attending the game at Chase and are looking for a place to grab something to eat, something to drink before you head on home or have some more fun on a Friday night, this is a great spot to stop by. You can say what's up to me here inside of Dumpling Time, again, at Thrive City, right outside of Chase Center here on 95.7 The Game. Again, Mark Randy with you as the Dubs fall to the Pistons 131-124. As you heard Tim Roy say there, the voice of the Dubs here on 95.7 The Game, the Warriors made the Pistons work really hard for it in the fourth quarter. Warriors were down by as many as 20 points, and for the majority of this game, were down anywhere between like 15 to 8 points. But it really felt like the Warriors were not in this basketball game. That was largely the vibe inside of Chase Center. I'm curious if that's what all you guys watching at home, listening at home felt like as well, because the game never was, score-wise, like terribly out of reach. The Pistons led by as many as 20. That was their largest lead, but it wasn't like it was around 18 for a lot. It was right around 10 points for the majority of this game. For a lot of the second half, it was trading buckets back and forth, a 16-point lead down to an 8-point lead, then a 12-point lead, and so on and so forth. Just this short little pendulum swing back and forth, but it never really felt like the Warriors were in this basketball game. That changed in the fourth quarter. The fourth quarter for the Warriors was their best quarter, and it wasn't even close. They did score 29 points, which wasn't great, but they held the Pistons to 23 points in the fourth quarter. They finally buckled down defensively. They got some shots to fall early in the fourth quarter. Buddy Hield, Guy Santos doing some scoring. Moses Moody hit a big three. Al Horford, a couple of big moments as well, and the Warriors got back within 3. They had a chance to tie after an Al Horford steal. Buddy Hield took a 3 in transition from the left wing. Chase Center was about to explode. The shot rims in and out. Would have been a tie game. Instead, the shot misses. Stays a 3-point game. The Pistons go on and score. And then the game was kind of just hanging in the balance for the final handful of minutes. But down the stretch, the Warriors just could not score enough. It was 117-114 with 6 minutes left. 117-114 with 6 minutes left, which means the Warriors scored just 10 points in the final 6 minutes of this basketball game. The Pistons, who are a very good defensive team, one of the best in the NBA, they buckled down defensively like they hadn't done all game long, and the Warriors just did not have enough consistent offense. Down the stretch, when there was a moment where you needed a bucket to stay in this game, it was Melton dribbling around the perimeter for what felt like 15 seconds or so, and then he threw kind of a hand grenade towards the end of the shot clock toward Podziemski, deep right wing, and he took a really deep 3. And I don't really blame Podziemski. Someone had to be willing to take a shot. It felt like a number of Warriors players were a little scared to take that shot. Podziemski took it, but it had no chance of going in. And at that point, that was kind of the ball game. Ultimately, the Warriors lose 131-124. Of course, one of the headlines in this one is that Steph Curry goes out late in the third quarter and does not return. He's been dealing with some right knee inflammation. It popped up over the weekend in Minneapolis. It actually popped up on Saturday, the day that first game versus the Timberwolves was scheduled for. It then got postponed till Sunday. He played in Sunday's game but did not play in Monday's game. Did play in Utah and, of course, played tonight, but it hadn't fully gone away. And you could see him favoring that right knee after he had an acrobatic and one against Osar Thompson in the third quarter. He had a really good third quarter, by the way. Scored 10 points in the third. His final 3 points of that third quarter was that and one. And in kind of the aftermath of the and one, he kind of gingerly walked to the free throw line to shoot his free throw. Shortly thereafter, subbed out of the game and was being talked to by the Warriors medical staff, training staff personnel, and then he went down the tunnel towards the locker room, and just as the fourth quarter was beginning, the Warriors officially ruled him out with what they called right knee soreness. Now, Steve Kerr has spoken post-game, and we'll hear from Steve Kerr coming up in a little bit here on Warriors Wrap-Up. He said that he doesn't believe Steph's right knee issue is anything major, but it has been nagging him. And again, this goes back to last week weekend, 6 days ago now, Saturday in Minneapolis, when this first kind of popped up for Steph. So something to keep an eye on. The good news for the Warriors is they have 3 full days off. They do not play the weekend. They have tomorrow, which is Saturday, off. They have Sunday off, and they have Monday off. Joel Embiid, Tyrese Maxey, and the 76ers are in town on Tuesday. And that's the last game before the trade deadline, by the way, for the Warriors. But they're off until Tuesday, so at least there's some built-in rest for Steph Curry at this point. But that's story number 1. Warriors lose this game, but Steph was forced out of this game. And who knows what the fourth quarter is like if Steph is available and plays. Maybe they come all the way back and they win this game. They were right there. It was a 3-point game, and they had the ball with about 6 minutes to go. Buddy Hield's 3 is in and out, and that's basically as close as they got in this game. Now, I will say, not as if Steph is ever a negative out there. Even if he's not hitting his shots, he's having a positive impact on the happenings, specifically on offense, because of the attention that he demands from opposing defenses. But Pat Spencer only played in this game in the fourth quarter, and only played because Steph was out. And I thought Pat Spencer came in and helped change this game, as did Guy Santos, as did Buddy Hield, specifically early in the fourth quarter. He then was kind of the go-to option offensively once he had it going a bit in the fourth, and he ended the fourth missing a number of shots in a row, but he was hitting a couple of threes. He was driving and finishing at the rim, and then the defense had to start protecting against his three-point shot, and he had a couple of nice backdoor cuts and perfectly timed cuts, and got nice bounce passes from Pat Spencer for easy layups. But it was too little too late for the Warriors, and they ultimately lose this game. Again, final score 131-124. Mark Randy with you here. It's Warriors Wrap-Up on 95.7 The Game, live from Dumpling Time at Thrive City. Stop by, grab yourself something to eat, something to drink on your way out of the arena. If you want to weigh in, give me a call, shoot me a text, 888-957-9570. Again, that's 888-957-9570. That's the number to call. It is also the Boxer and Gerson Work Injury Attorneys text line. And as we speak, I got the YouTube chat up if you want to join in on the conversation on YouTube as well. That's youtube.com/957 The Game. I see you, Damon. I see you, No. I see you, Definitely Not David, Green-Eyed Rabbit, and some others. Keep the conversations going here on YouTube as well. Okay, so Warriors lose this one. If you want the positive aspect to this basketball game, and I know that this is a Warriors organization that is used to, winning championships, and maybe they're not the best audience for the bright side in a loss. This is a Pistons team that is really, really good, and they largely were completely healthy for this basketball game. And they're the number 1 seed in the Eastern Conference. They have been all season. I'm not sure if I'm picking them to win the East, although I think the East is pretty darn wide open, and they're certainly, I think, a favorite to win at least a series and get to the Final Four in the East. I personally am picking them to go to the Eastern Conference Finals. We'll see what happens there. You don't know what's going to happen with Boston and Jason Tatum and others, and suddenly Philadelphia looks a whole lot better with Joel Embiid playing good basketball. We'll see, but Detroit is undoubtedly one of the best teams in the NBA. And the Warriors made this a basketball game without Steph Curry after falling behind by 20 points. So there is, I think, a bit of a positive couched into this. And we were talking about this on Warriors Live earlier today, getting ready for this basketball game. How this is kind of a measuring stick game for the Warriors. Obviously, we're more than halfway through the season, and it's not ideal to have measuring stick games at this point, but that's the reality the Warriors are looking at. This was just their 6th game post-Jimmy Butler ACL tear, and it's, I think, by a mile the best team that they've played. Maybe not a mile. Minnesota's pretty good, but this is the best team that they've played since Jimmy Butler went down. How do the Warriors stack up? This version of the Warriors. This is a new Warrior team now. Jimmy Butler had his hand in so many different avenues of this basketball team. How do the Warriors stack up versus the best of the Eastern Conference without Jimmy Butler? And maybe things change at the deadline. We're less than 6 days away from that, and maybe there is a big move that happens that completely changes the way that this Warrior team is set up and the way that they feel and what they can accomplish. But as of right now, this Warrior team without Jimmy Butler, do they have an ability to compete with some of the best teams in the league? I think tonight told you kind of. I mean, they got down by 20 on one hand, but this game could have easily gotten out of hand. They came back. They got within 3 in the fourth quarter once Steph Curry went down. And I know you'll say, well, maybe Detroit put their, took their foot off the gas, and that's totally fair. It's not as if there was a ton to be excited about with today's game if you were the Warriors. I mean, what the Warriors were doing defensively was just absolutely preposterous in the first half. Steve Kerr called 2 timeouts in the first handful of minutes of this game. Detroit was getting open look after open look after open look. It was Duncan Robinson who scored. Duncan scored 15 points in this game. 12 of them came in the first 6 minutes of this game. Steph Curry matched up on Duncan Robinson to begin, and Duncan Robinson got loose for 4 threes immediately. The Warriors opened defensively. I thought it was interesting. Draymond Green on Osar Thompson. Al Horford guarded Jalen Duren, the big man for the Pistons. Moses Moody guarded Cade Cunningham, one of the best young point guards, wings, whatever you want to call him. He is their point guard, but he's 6'6". He's built more like a wing, but he is their point guard. Podziemski guarded Tobias Harris, and Steph Curry guarded Duncan Robinson. Interesting way to match up. I don't dislike it at all. You put Draymond on Osar Thompson. It kind of allows him to freelance because Osar is not much of an offensive threat at this stage of his NBA career. It allows Draymond to help Al on Duren. It allows Draymond to help Moody on Cade Cunningham. But there was not enough help on Duncan Robinson, and they were running Steph through screen after screen after screen, and Duncan Robinson got wide open look after wide open look, and he made almost all of his threes in the first quarter. It's what got the Pistons off to a great start offensively. The Warriors were not reacting to those screens, and Duncan Robinson running off the ball like Steph has kind of patented. He was doing a lot of those Steph and Clay movements off ball and getting open. The Warriors could not react and communicate defensively. They tried a zone. That did not work. But it wasn't just the outside. In fact, it was rarely outside. Other than those first 4 threes made by Duncan Robinson, they were getting backdoor cuts for dunks. They were driving past initial defenders and passing the ball off to cutters for wide open dunks. They were half court. In the half-court offense, not in the fast break setting, in the half-court, there must have been 5, 6, 7, 8 wide-open dunks or layups in the paint from the half-court set for the Pistons in the first quarter. The first quarter defensively for the Warriors was just an absolute nightmare. And we can talk specifically about, or maybe a little less specific about the first half, but let's just talk about the first quarter for a second. Detroit, 45 points in the first quarter. 45 points in the first quarter. They were 19 for 25 from the field, 4 of 8 from downtown. That's crazy. They scored 45 points in a quarter and only 4 made threes. Oftentimes in today's NBA, when a team explodes for 40 or more points in a quarter, you say, well, they just caught fire and they must have made 8 threes in a quarter. They just could not miss. 4 is not a small amount, but still, when a team scores 45, you expect a lot of those points to come from the three-point line. And not a lot. Only 12 of them came from the three-point line. Only 3 came from the free throw line, which means what? 38 points? No, not quite 38. 12, 15, 30 points. 30 points from 2. 15 made 2-point field goals in that first quarter for Detroit. And over the first half as a whole, they scored 77 points, the most the Warriors have allowed in any half this season. Detroit was 31 for 50 from the field in the first half. That's 62% from the field. How about their shooting on 2-pointers? They were 25 for 36 from 2. That is just under 70% from the field on 2-point shots in the first half. They were 6 of 14 from 3 in the first half, which is not a bad shooting mark at all. That's over 42%, nearly 43%. But they scored 77 points in a first half while only making 6 threes. You know how difficult and rare that is in today's NBA? That means you are scoring at will in the paint. And guess what? In the first half, Detroit, 42 points in the paint. In the first half alone, 42 points in the paint. They finished with 62 points in the paint. That's a plus 22-point edge over the Warriors, who scored 40 points in the paint. And Detroit also had a 25-10 edge in the fast break points. This was a really, really, really poor defensive effort for the Warriors through, 2.5 quarters, specifically the first half, the Warriors have not played a worse half defensively this season. I think it's pretty safe to say that than the first half tonight. It's amazing, frankly, that they were in this basketball game because Detroit, I think coming into tonight, the second best defensive rating in the NBA. They're a really good defense. They have a lot of length and athleticism and quickness and just, frankly, good defensive players. Asar Thompson, just like his brother Amen, is a defensive menace. Jalen Duren can change shots around the rim like some of the better rim protectors in the NBA. And then you've got length and athleticism all over the place elsewhere with specifically Cade Cunningham. Tobias Harris, no one's going to confuse him for a really good defender, but at least he's got some length and athleticism as well. This is a good defensive team. And the Warriors, in the first half themselves, they ended up scoring 64 points in the first half. And over the course of this entire basketball game, they scored 124. Now, it was a struggle in the fourth quarter, and that's when Detroit really turned it on. And that's when I think you really saw how good Detroit can be defensively. But, there are some positives, I think, to take away from the game, and it's specifically, the Warriors kept it close against a really good Detroit team, and they played some of their best basketball, ironically enough, when Steph went down, and they opened the fourth quarter with the unit of Pat Spencer, Buddy Hield, Moses Moody, Guy Santos, and Draymond Green. They eventually subbed Melton in for Moody and Al Horford in for Draymond, so the five that they went with, that was a good chunk of that Warriors run to get within three in the fourth, was Pat Spencer, D'Anthony Melton, Buddy Hield, Guy Santos, and Al Horford. I guarantee you that group of five hasn't really played a lot of minutes together. I would have to go back and check the five-man units, and maybe I'll do it during our commercial break coming up in about 10 minutes or so, a little more than that. But I can't imagine that five-man group has played a lot of basketball together this season. Maybe they haven't played together at all because you got a couple of guys in Melton and Al who haven't played a ton of basketball injury-wise. You have a guy in Pat Spencer who only plays basically if there are a lot of other injuries. And Guy Santos hasn't been in the rotation this entire season. Not for the entire season. He's been in the rotation of late, but hasn't been there for the entire season. And that was a group that helped turn the game around. Buddy Hield made a three. The Warrior, Melton got in on the action. There was a couple buckets by Al Horford. And that was the group that kind of got the Warriors back into it. Now, what was interesting was Warriors down 6 with 3:50 to go in the fourth quarter. Podziemski comes in for Pat Spencer. Draymond comes in for Guy Santos. And not that the Warriors got blown out the rest of the way. They were outscored by a single point the rest of the way. But that is kind of when the run stopped. And they did not really get much closer after that. I'm not going to sit here and blame Podziemski or Draymond for saying they played poorly in that stretch, but you took out a couple of guys that helped change the game in terms of just effort level and intensity in Pat Spencer and Guy Santos, and the run kind of ended there. Now, there is something to be said. Well, those guys just played 8 consecutive minutes of high-intensity basketball. Maybe they're winded and they need the break, but this is always kind of like that middle ground that Steve Kerr has talked about before. Well, these guys helped get us back in the game. They've played a lot of minutes in a row. What's best, to keep those guys playing well, keep them on the floor, or go to fresher guys that, generally speaking, you feel more comfortable in and see what happens? Tonight he went with the guys that, generally speaking, he's more comfortable with, which is Podziemski and Draymond Green. It didn't really work tonight. I don't think that was necessarily the decision that cost the Warriors the basketball game. The decision that cost the Warriors the basketball game, frankly, was the Warriors' decision to just not really try very hard defensively in the first half of this one. It felt like the Warriors were a little disinterested defensively. I say a little. It was a lot. It felt like a lot of disinterest defensively in the first half. It's why Detroit scores 131 points in the game, and there was a good chunk of the game where they were on pace for 150 or more. The Warriors buckled down defensively in the fourth quarter. Maybe Detroit was missing a couple of shots as well. That's probably part of it. There's always some luck involved, and are you making or are you missing shots? But the Warriors, the defensive effort and intensity was definitely a whole lot better in that second half as well. And if they just came out with that from the jump, maybe this is a game where the Warriors have a lead going into the second half, and maybe they can put this game away in the second half as well. So defense is a major concern, just the effort level in this one. I know you just got home off of a road trip, and they'll say, the first home game after a trip can kind of feel like a road game still. It wasn't a super long trip, although it was a really challenging trip. I'll give the Warriors that. But the effort in the first half, specifically defensively, was a little disheartening in my opinion. Now, we also got to look at these rosters, and we can just flat out say right now, given what the Pistons are and given what the Warriors are operating at a talent deficit in this one. Not going to excuse the loss or the effort specifically, but this was a game where the Pistons, they're the best team in the Eastern Conference, have been all season, and the Warriors are trying to refigure out who they are post Jimmy Butler ACL. Again, I'm not saying that the effort was excusable. I'm just saying this is a situation where the Warriors are kind of behind the sticks here. They're behind the chains. And I thought the fact that it was in the air. There was a coin flip game in the fourth quarter at a certain point. I thought, honestly, I was pretty impressed by the effort. But again, it was if you just come out early in the game and play with better effort to begin, maybe you're not in a situation where you have to fight all the way back. And maybe the lack of leftover energy after fighting all the way back is why they couldn't close this one down the stretch. So a frustrating night specifically to begin. Some encouraging signs, but the Warriors are at a point where you can't be losing basketball games all that often because you dug yourself a bit of a hole with your beginning to the season. Now Jimmy Butler's out, and you're trying to play catch-up without your second-best player, and he's done for the rest of the season. So we'll see how it all goes from here. But the Warriors, they lose this one tonight, 131-124. I also want to talk about, and we'll do this coming up, I want to go out to the phone lines at 888-957-9570. I do want to talk about, I think in general, this Pistons team and the kind of team they are, the archetype that they are with length and athleticism and quickness, and how I think you see them on the floor versus this Warrior team. It's a stark difference in terms of length and size and quickness and athleticism and burst. It's a very, very, very stark difference. And, there might be somebody out there on the trade market that maybe could change things in terms of length and athleticism and physicality that could kind of equalize those battles for the Warriors, or at least bring them closer to an equal battle in those regards. But the Warriors just at times kind of got manhandled in this basketball game, and that was one thing that stood out to me in this one as well. All right, 888-957-9570. Let's go out to Chardol in Fremont, who wants to weigh in as the Dubs fall to the Pistons 131-124. Warriors now 27-23 on the season. Remember, Steph Curry went out with what the Warriors are calling knee soreness. He left late third quarter, did not return, was ruled out right as the fourth quarter was beginning, and the Warriors have said, or Steve Kerr has said, they don't think it's a serious issue, but it has been bothering him for about a week now. Okay, Chardol in Fremont is up next. What's up, Chardol? You're on Warriors Wrap-Up. Chardol? You there? Okay, we will keep going here. Call back, Chardol. We'll get you on the air. 888-957-9570 if you want to weigh in. Okay, let's talk about this and the size and the athleticism for the Pistons, because this is a team. And Chardol, call us back. We'll get you back on. But this is a team in the Pistons that clearly have the Warriors beat in a number of spots. And guys in the back, just let me know when Chardol calls back, and we'll get him on. But this is... Oh, okay, we'll get back to that in a sec. Chardol has called back. Let's get to Chardol, and then we'll talk about this Pistons team and where they have clear advantages over the Warriors, and what maybe that can tell us about the Warriors going forward and what they need to do. Okay, let's try this again. Chardol in Fremont. What's up, Chardol? You're on Warriors Wrap-Up.
Hi, Mark Grandy. I'm a big fan of your YouTube channel, 95.7 The Game. I tune into your show every time after a Warriors game. This was a tough loss as the Warriors suffer a 131-124 loss at the hands of the Detroit Pistons. I mean, they had so many chances to win this game tonight, and they failed in every opportunity that was given to them. But I know that this is a resilient organization, and I know they can bounce back from this loss and get a win on their next game. But it was great calling the Warriors wrap up, and I hope you have a great rest of your Friday night.
Yeah, appreciate the call, Shardo. It was frustrating, and I'm glad you brought that up because there were a number of moments where, I mean, I kind of felt like a lot of Warrior fans inside of Chase Center were going crazy. And I would imagine a lot of you guys, if you were sitting at home on your couch, maybe with a beer or a glass of wine in hand, celebrating a Friday night, were feeling the same thing. Warriors got down by 20, right? And it kind of felt like it was teetering on a blowout, but they would, fight back. They get back within 8, right? The momentum's finally on their side, it feels like. They got within 5. They were down by as many as 15 in the first half, got within 5 late in the second quarter. And then the Pistons outscore the Warriors. I think it was 18 or 16-8 the rest of the second quarter, and they go up by 13 at halftime. Whenever the Warriors would make a push and get back within single digits, whether it was 5 or 6 or 8, felt like they got back within 8 so many different times. But immediately after that, the Pistons would respond. They'd hit a 3, they'd force a turnover, get a fast break bucket, and the lead right back up to 13, just like that. That happened time and time and time again. And for the Warriors specifically, it was a lot of self-induced errors. So that run that I was talking about at the end of the first half, the Warriors got back in the game. They were trailing by 5, 61-56, 5 minutes to go in the second quarter. Then they started committing turnovers. The first, 19 minutes? First 19 minutes of the game, right, the first quarter and the first 7 minutes of the second quarter, up until that 5-minute mark. Actually, it's even worse than that. The first 21 minutes of the first half, the Warriors committed 6 turnovers. That's like a dream number for the Warriors. You will take that. 6 turnovers in nearly the entire first half. Then what happened in the final 3 minutes of the second quarter? They committed 4 turnovers. Melton, a bad pass. Gee got the ball stolen from him. Curry committed a turnover with a bad pass. And then Podziemski threw the ball out of bounds. 4 turnovers in the span of 3 minutes, and Detroit uses those turnovers to go on a 16-8 run to close the half, and take a 13-point lead into halftime. The turnovers were not terrible for the entire game, but in the key moments, they really bit the Warriors. You got back within 5, then immediately you start turning the ball over, and it's an 8-point swing. Instead of being down 5, 6, 7, you're down 13 points at halftime, and that was a big swing. Then, in the second half, the Warriors, let me make sure I find this moment here. I believe it was early in the fourth quarter. There was a bad turnover by Steph. See if I can find the exact moment. This was another moment. So I haven't found that other one, but I will in a second. Actually, here it was. It was right at the beginning of the second half. Excuse me. It was earlier in the game than I thought. So the Warriors, after that 18 or 16-8 run that pushed the lead up to 13, they come out of the halftime break, and one of the Warriors' first possessions was, I think it actually was their first possession, after they forced a Detroit miss. Steph bringing the ball up against pressure by Ausar Thompson, a really good on-ball defender, and he just kind of lazily throws a one-handed pass over to Moody on the right side, and Ausar knocks it away, grabs the steal, and it leads to directly to a Cade Cunningham dunk. Then the Pistons force a Warrior stop, and Dern gets an and one. You were down 13. Remember, you were just down 5. Now you're down 18 points, the largest deficit of the game. They would quickly then make it a 20-point deficit, and at that point, it kind of felt like the game was over. I know it wasn't. They ultimately got back into the game in the fourth, but it's just those untimely turnovers, and it kind of goes back to what we were talking about with the defense early in the game. It kind of feels the same way about the offense at times. It's just a lack of the right kind of intensity and the right attention to detail in some key moments, and that really hurt the Warriors in those moments as well. There was another moment where the Warriors got on a little bit of a run. Curry hit a 3 after Horford hit a 3 and had a put-back dunk. Warriors back within 9 after being down by as many as 20. Chase Center's feeling it again, back within single digits. I wasn't listening to the TV broadcast, but I would imagine Fitz said something like single digits, right? Like, you're finally back in this basketball game. And Melton had a steal after a Steph 3. You're down just 9, a chance for a fast break bucket. Maybe you're within 7. Maybe you get an and 1 and you're down 6. What happens, though, is Detroit recovers quickly. Melton kind of, it felt like, freaked out because there were a couple of defenders collapsing on him as he dribbled in the fast break and just threw the ball out. Kind of felt like without looking at where he was going, and it's a turnover, and Detroit turns that into a bucket. They got a foul, 2 free throws, plus a technical foul on the Warriors for a delay of game. They were arguing the call didn't think it was a call. It's 3 free throws. It's a 5-point swing. Instead of being down 7, you're down 12, and it just kind of feels like the game had slipped away from the Warriors in a lot of those moments. And that's kind of what this game was. It was encouraging in certain moments, and encouraging ultimately the Warriors got back within 3, but then extremely frustrating because for every step forward, every little run you had to get back in the game, you kind of just immediately gave it right back up. And that was kind of the story of this game tonight. Okay, we're going to take a break here on Warriors Wrap-Up. It's Mark Randy live from Dumpling Time at Thrive City. Stop by for a quick drink or something to eat on your way out of the arena. I'm trying the chili pork dumplings tonight. I'm going to try them during the commercial break. I will report back when we come back. I'll let you know how good they are. They smell delicious. I'll try that, tell you about it. Plus, we got more time for your calls and your texts, and we will hear from Steve Kerr post-game as well. All right, time for a break. Warriors Wrap-Up here on 95.7 The Game as the Dubs fall 131-124. More coming up next on 95.7 The Game.
What's your financial future look like? At Pettinelli Financial Partners, we help you shape it. Whether you're planning for retirement, buying a home, or saving for something special, our professionals are here to provide clear guidance and smart strategies. Visit PettinelliFP.com today and take the first step toward a more secure financial future. The financial consultants at Pettinelli Financial Partners are registered representatives with and securities offered through LPL Financial, member FINRA SIPC. Investment advice offered through Stratos Wealth Partners, a registered investment advisor. Stratos and Pettinelli are separate entities from LPL Financial.
My ride smells just right, just right, just right, just right. Y'all gotta try that Febreze car. Just right, just right, just right. La 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 la. With up to 40 days of consistency, all over Febreze car clips right on your vent. You know my car's my happy place. Keep that smile on my face. When it smells just right, just right, just right. Yeah, breathe happy Febreze. La 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 la.
Listen all week as 95.7 The Game broadcasts live from Radio Row in San Francisco. Join the Morning Roast with Shasky and Spadoni from 6 to 10 a.m., Steiny and Guru from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m., and Willard and Dibbs from 2 p.m. to 6 p.m. every day this week live to hear all of the big guests, big news, and everything that is happening here in San Francisco for the big game. Brought to you by Waymo. Kick off the big game with autonomous rides. Get around the city with Waymo, the world's most experienced driver. Download the Waymo app and ride today.
Sound familiar? At Mattress Firm, we understand there are many problems that can keep you up at night, like snoring, aches and pains, or sleeping hot. Our sleep experts have the unrivaled know-how to match you with a mattress that can help. And now upgrade to a Tempur-Pedic and get a $300 instant gift, plus next-day delivery. For the great sleep you deserve, visit Mattress Firm. We make sleep easy. Restrictions apply. Next-day delivery available on select mattresses and subject to location. See store for details.
Build your team, build it sooner. Need your match on ZipRecruiter.
I know that hiring can be challenging. You need someone to match your role perfectly. Well, now you can meet them fast on ZipRecruiter.
Need to hire right away. Start your search for strong candidates. The right fit awaits. All your roles, fill them sooner. Meet your match on
ZipRecruiter. Just head to ZipRecruiter.com/free right now to try it for free, and you're on your way to meeting your match. 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. So try it now. Go to ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free.
Meet your match on ZipRecruiter. Try it free.
Now it's time for the closer of the week. Presented by LiftMaster and R&S Doors. Turn your garage into the envy of the neighborhood. Visit rsdoors.com.
This week's closer comes from Patrick from Alameda. Elian was great, good communication and prompt. Quickly fixed my door spring and then explained some other aspects of the garage door and what to look for in the future. Thank you, R&S. Recently, my garage door opener was not working. I was in need of a closer. I was put in touch with R&S Doors and they hooked me up with a brand new garage door opener from LiftMaster. With LiftMaster's MyQ connectivity, my garage door opener can be controlled right from my smartphone. You'll know when a door or gate has been left open and can close it with a tap, no matter where I am. Be one of the first 10 callers and receive 20% off a LiftMaster garage door opener.
Call 1-800-FIX-A-DOOR. That's 800-FIX-A-DOOR. Or visit rsdoors.com. R&S Doors. Look for the red truck.
The NFL is taking over the Bay Area with Super Bowl Experience presented by Jersey Mike's. February 3rd through 7th at the Moscone Center, North and South. Dive into an immersive football festival celebrating all 32 teams, plus interactive games, player autographs, photos with the Vince Lombardi Trophy, exclusive NFL shop merchandise, and much more. It's the ultimate Super Bowl week event with fun for all ages. Tickets start at just $40 and kids 12 and under attend for free. Visit superbowl.com to buy your tickets today.
Save more on the brands pros trust at Lowe's. Right now, get up to 35% off select major appliances and choose from our wide lineup of top brands. Plus, save $100 on a Little Giant 22-foot multi-position ladder. Now just $189. Built for strength, flexibility, and job site versatility. Pros, these savings will only be here for a limited time. Lowe's, we help, you save. Valid through 1/30. While supplies last. Selection varies by location. See Lowe's.com for more details.
Welcome back to Winter Hack Radio, the place for clever hacks to survive the season. Icy driveway? Well, try spreading sand or birdseed to help with traction. Snowy puppy paws? Well, grab a whisk, brush it off, done. Catch COVID-19? Well, just get...
Actually, there's no hack for COVID-19. But if you test positive, prescription medications for COVID exist. Ask your doctor if they're right for you. Visit PfizerForAll.com to learn more. Sponsored by Pfizer.
You're listening to 95.7 The Game, KGMZ FM and HD1 San Francisco on Odyssey Sports Station and the home of the Golden State Warriors and Valkyries. Always live on the free Odyssey app and now coming to you live from the Laughing Monk Studios.
Moody, bounce pass Horford. Horford right corner. There's Draymond. Another three for Draymond. Got it. Boom for Draymond. That's his third three. He now has 800 for his NBA career. And joining only Klay Thompson and Stephen Curry with 800 or more threes in Warriors history. Curry doubled, finds Horford. Right corner. There's Draymond. Another one. It's up and good. There's number 801. 54-43. Draymond has 15 to lead the Warriors.
Now back to Warriors Wrap Up on 95.7 The Game.
Yeah, welcome back. It was a hell of a first half specifically for Draymond Green. At the half, Draymond led the Warriors in points with 15. In fact, he led all scorers in the first half with 15 points, made all 4 of his threes in the first half. And that highlight you just heard, of course, played by the great Cam Williams behind the glass in our downtown San Francisco studios, of Tim Roy on the call tonight. As always, yeah, Draymond Green with his third three of the night became just the third Warriors player ever to make 800 threes in a Warriors uniform. Joining, of course, the obvious usual suspects, Steph Curry and Klay Thompson. So Draymond Green, the third Warrior ever to make 800 threes. One hell of an accomplishment and pretty impressive. When you don't think of Draymond as a three-point shooter, and I'm not saying that he is. It's just a testament to longevity and playing on one team for as long as Draymond has. Welcome back. It's Warriors Wrap-Up on 95.7 The Game. Mark Randy with you. We're going to the phones in a sec. Jeff, I see you, and Ivan, I see you. Really quick before we do that, I did want to shout out again. Dumpling time here at Thrive City. It's where I'm stationed tonight on Warriors Wrap-Up. I tried their chili pork dumplings tonight. I've been here a number of times. I haven't found anything on the menu that I'm not a fan of just yet, so it's hard for me to say try this specifically because I think it's all good. But the chili pork dumplings tonight, very, very good. I recommend adding the garlicky hot and sour soup style. Add that on top of the dumplings. Delicious. I very much like the chili pork dumplings tonight, so thanks to everybody here at Dumpling Time. In a good spot pre-game to get something to eat, something to drink before heading in, and then also hanging out for a little bit post-game as well. It's Dumpling Time in Thrive City, literally right outside the arena here at Chase Center in downtown San Francisco. Okay. 888-957-9570. We will hear from Steve Kerr coming up in just a little bit. The Warriors fell to the Pistons tonight, 131-124. Dubs now 27-23. Pistons, they keep playing great basketball. They're still the top team in the Eastern Conference. They're now sitting at 35-12. Okay, out to the phones. 888-957-9570. Up next is Jeff in Petaluma, who was at the game. What's up, Jeff? You're on Warriors Wrap-Up on 95.7 The Game. What do you got?
What's up? I was at the game. I just want to say that the Pistons played really, really good. So, and the Warriors kind of hung in there. It just wasn't enough. It fought hard. I saw one thing today. Then those six in Milwaukee, let's get it started. That's good. Also, long list. James Watson, look at that. Good night.
Yeah, Jeff, sorry. I was having a hard time hearing you there, and you might have cut out at the end. I think I heard you talk about how, they fought back and got back into the game. I mean, they did, absolutely. You got to... It was frustrating that they were in that position that they were in the first place because of how poorly they played defensively in the first half. But you did like the energy and the effort and, the refusal to just go away in this game. I thought Guy Santos came in and changed the game. You could tell in the first half that Steve Kerr was searching. It happened very early in this game. He called 2 timeouts, I think, within the first, 6 or 7 minutes of this game because the Warriors' defense was just so bad to begin. And he turned to Guy Santos, seems like earlier than he normally does. And not that Guy is just a lockdown defender who's going to shut down anybody, but, you turn to Guy earlier than usual when you just need a spark. And Guy Santos didn't necessarily change the Warriors' fortunes defensively, but he gave them a spark offensively. And he did a lot of the small things, as he always did. So I thought Guy Santos had a big impact on this game. He finishes this one, Guy Santos does, with 16 points on 7 of 9 shooting, made 2 of the 3 threes that he took in the game in which the Warriors lost, and at times were getting blown out. He was only a -2, not terrible at all. I thought Guy changed this basketball game, as did Pat Spencer, who came in, did not make a field goal, did not attempt a field goal, but played 8 minutes and had 3 assists and a couple of rebounds and a block. By the way, I thought he was really good in this game, and he only played because Steph went down with the knee soreness. And Pat Spencer came in after not playing for the first 3 quarters of this game and kind of got the Warriors' offense into a bit of a rhythm. Then when he checked out, I don't think it's a surprise when Pat Spencer checks out and it's not Steph Curry or Jimmy Butler or somebody like that checking back in for him. The Warriors' offense suffers. If they don't have Steph and they don't have Jimmy, you're kind of, crazily enough, really relying on Pat Spencer because he is a distributor. He is a creator. He is a ball handler. He can create advantages, and he's a good enough passer to find the lanes where his teammates can take advantage of the advantages that he creates. It's hard to say you're playing all of the fourth quarter after not playing for the first 3 quarters of a game, but it's not surprising, in my opinion, that when you don't have Steph to turn to and you don't have Jimmy to turn to, when Pat is in the game, the offense flows better, and when Pat's out of the game, it kind of gets stuck in the mud. Melton has the ability to change that a bit, or at least limit the big swings, and he did a pretty good job of that. But you could tell once Pat Spencer went out and it was Melton and Pods as your primary ball handlers, the defense of the Detroit Pistons, who's already really good, could just kind of focus on Melton. they could just focus on Melton, and what he was doing for the majority of the fourth quarter was just dribbling around over and over and over, and at times he ultimately would find somebody cutting or it would work, but for the most part he just could not find an opening in the fourth quarter because the Detroit defense is just focusing on him. And when you don't have Steph or Jimmy, and I'm not saying that Pat Spencer is in that echelon of player, because of course not, but when you don't have the other guy that can take the pressure off of one of your few ball handlers, it becomes really difficult for that one ball handler on the floor to be able to get to his spots and to create advantages. So it's not surprising to me that once Pat went out, the Warriors offense suffered a little bit. All right, 888-957-9570. Steve Kerr in just a minute. First, though, it's Ivan in Oakland who wants to weigh in and join in on the conversation. What's up, Ivan? You're on Warriors Wrap-Up.
Taking my call. I'm a basketball coach. We had a game after the semi-pro league, and we had a game similar to the Warriors. I'm not saying that we're NBA, but this was similar is that we played a team that out-talented us big time. They had two big 6'10" guys, and all I had was small guards. So what I told my guys, we got two choices. Play defense like hell and do what we have to do or get blew out. Okay, those are the two choices. All my stars had to work and took the game. The guys that don't know it, they play. Same thing with the Warriors. Those are the choices that they have without Jimmy Butler. And I've called Moody a lot. He's been waiting a long time for this opportunity. I think he could be a lot like Jimmy Butler, inside. If you're shooting under 40% from three, you need to be driving the ball the vast majority of the time inside. That's the easiest shot in basketball to make, is actually the two-point shot, not the three-point shot. You stay in games like that. That's what we did. We hung in there. We didn't turn the ball over. We stayed in games. We won the game 0.9 seconds from the last shot, only because we played an almost perfect game. Okay, and I think the Warriors can do that. I think they can beat any team, but they have to play a perfect game. There's no room for error. Okay, right now.
Yeah.
And these guys have been waiting their opportunity. Here it is right now. Here's your opportunity to make a case for playing time. And it'd be your fault if everybody get healthy and you're back on the bench.
Yeah, Ivan, you're absolutely right. I mean, this is the NBA. Any team can beat any other team on any given night. And obviously, it's a little cliche to just say, well, if you play really, really hard, you're going to win basketball games, and you play smart and you just put the right energy and effort in. Doesn't mean it's always going to translate to wins, but that's generally how, teams that are in a talent deficit like the Warriors tonight versus this Pistons team, especially when Steph goes out, that's how you stay in it. You have to win the little battles. You have to dive on the floor for loose balls. You have to play smart. You have to limit turnovers. You have to do all those things to have a chance. And even if you do all those things, if you're at enough of a talent deficit or the opposing team just plays really good themselves and makes a lot of shots, you're still probably going to lose. But you look at some of the hustle stats, the important battles in this game. You lost a turnover battle, albeit only by 2. You lost the points off turnover battle by 8. That's a bigger deal there. Fast break points was 25-10 in favor of Detroit. Second chance points was 14-7 in favor of Detroit. And points in the paint was 62-40 in favor of Detroit. Now, a lot of that is because of talent. Like, the points in the paint is because Detroit is a really good and tall and athletic and long team, and they can get into the paint easier than the Warriors. But it is also, some of those points in the paint were just mishoused by the Warriors defensively, where it wasn't great offense by Detroit or individual greatness by Cade Cunningham that gave them those 2 points in the paint. It was just some defensive lapses by the Warriors that happened over and over and over again in that first half specifically, and even more specifically in that first quarter. And if you are at a talent deficit, as Ivan's talking about, it's hard to overcome those sorts of things because Detroit is going to get you in some of the other areas. Because they have Cade Cunningham, and they have Jalen Duren, and they have Ausar Thompson, and they have all these guys, and you're trotting out there, Pat Spencer in the fourth quarter. No, didn't mean that as a shot at Pat Spencer, but you get where I'm coming from. You have to win a lot of those other battles, and the Warriors just did not do it tonight for the majority of the game. They did in the fourth quarter, They won those battles in the fourth quarter, but not for the first 3 quarters, and specifically not in the first half. Okay. Draymond Green spoke post-game. We don't have the audio, but I want to read a quote to you. It's about the trade deadline. You're going to want to hear that. Before we do that, though, let's hear from Steve Kerr, Warriors head coach, who addressed the media post-game after the Warriors fell to the Pistons. Final score 131-124. Here is Coach Kerr post-game tonight after his Warriors fall to the Pistons.
Steve, how's Steph?
I think he's okay. I don't think it's anything major, but we'll have an update tomorrow.
Is that something bothering maybe even going into the game a little bit?
It was the knee that kept him out of the game in Minneapolis, and so it's been nagging him, the last week or so.
Steve, is he going to get an MRI?
I don't know. I haven't even talked to Rick. Yeah.
What was working there, especially the start of the fourth, but the entire second half seemed like there was just a little more competitive fire, or what did you think was the difference in the second half?
Well, I mean, they got 45 in the first quarter. I mean, they were unstoppable, but we didn't think they'd shoot that way. We did take care of transition much better in the second half than in the first, and made it much more difficult on them to score. And I love the competitive fight of our guys. They really battled, gave us a chance. And that's a hell of a team, obviously, a number 1 team in the East, athletic and a ton of size, and great team. So, we just couldn't quite get over the hump.
Coach, here. Gui Santos scored in double digits the last 3 games and seems to be more aggressive, attacking the basket. Is something you asking him to do more since Jimmy's injury?
No, I haven't asked him to do anything. I just think he's in a good rhythm. He's feeling good, and he's getting more opportunities to play. But he's playing really well. He's very quick. He's able to get by his guy and score layups. And he had a couple of really nice moves tonight. He's a lot quicker than people think, and he's a threat from the 3-point line. Smart player. We're very lucky to have him.
Steve, what are the challenges this team or any team faces when you lose a key player, and then following that, the front office is, trying to find ways to recover from that? When you take the floor, do you carry that with you? What are the things you have to kind of work through mentally just to be on your game?
Yeah, that's the job, and it's no fun to see your name in a trade rumor or something, but it's the job, and we talk about that frequently. Not all the time, but we mention it. It's a great job, but it's also there's some difficult aspects, and this is one of it.
Is Gary banged up at all, or is it just the last 2 games just been your decision?
No, I just we're playing so many guys, and it's really hard to play 12. We played 11 tonight. Once Steph went out, I gave Pat the 8 minutes, and he was great. It's just more numbers right now. He had struggled a little bit for a few games, and I just kind of feel like a reset will help him.
When you're playing against a team like Detroit that has so much size, so much physicality inside, how do you look at the balance between going double bigs and trying to match that versus going small and trying to space them out?
Yeah, it's really about combinations, for both teams. Depending on who they have out there, we might be more comfortable, with Draymond at the 5. The way they started, we wanted to go double big just to establish, some physicality. But when they go Stewart and Duran, that's quite a bit to handle. And so we tried to mix and match. Guy did a great job at the 4, and both Al and Draymond played really well. QP did too. So we just battled as best we could.
What did you make of the defensive effort tonight? Got some stops, but towards the end.
First quarter was pretty rough. We gave up 24 points in the paint, and they were just getting by us, and a lot of transition hoops. So after the first quarter, I think the game settled down, and we defended much better.
All right, that's Steve Kerr post-game after the Warriors fall to the Pistons. Final score 131-124. Biggest thing there was Steve talking about Steph's injury, and if you missed it, he left the game late third quarter after coming up a little lame on his right knee after an and one, and it was an acrobatic and one. I don't really know how he got it to go off Osar Thompson. He was then he left the game and then left the bench, walked back down the tunnel towards the locker room, and then early fourth quarter was ruled out with what the Warriors are calling right knee soreness. And then Steve Kerr postgame doesn't believe the right knee injury is anything, quote, major, as Steve said, but did say it has been nagging him and said that the Warriors will likely have some kind of update tomorrow. So stay tuned, of course, to 95.7 The Game, specifically on social media at 957 The Game, on Twitter, for instance, and on Instagram for an update on Steph Curry tomorrow, I would imagine. But it has been nagging him. The good news for the Warriors is they're off tomorrow, Saturday. They're off Sunday. They're also off Monday. The 76ers are in town coming up on Tuesday, but that's the biggest stuff there from Steve Kerr. So Warriors lose 131-124. The larger story for the Warriors right now is the trade deadline, which is looming less than 6 days away now. Thursday, February 5th at noon is the trade deadline. And the biggest name that is potentially available at the deadline is Giannis Antetokounmpo of the Milwaukee Bucks. And at least the way that this conversation is currently being had, that the Warriors are the likeliest team to make a major push or be able to acquire Giannis at the trade deadline. The way that I see it is, if Giannis is traded at the deadline before next Thursday, or before next Thursday at noon specifically, noon Pacific that is, if he is traded before then, I think it will be to the Warriors. I think it is more likely, however, that he is not traded before the deadline and that it happens at some point in the offseason. I would imagine the Bucks would prefer a bidding war to ensue, and there are more teams that can join in on the bid for Giannis in the offseason than right now. The Warriors, I think, have a leg up on almost everybody else in terms of acquiring him right now, but the question becomes, do the Bucks want to do that right now, or do they want to wait until the offseason, maybe when the Heat can join in with a bigger deal, to when potentially the Knicks could join in. Maybe the Atlanta Hawks have more interest, or maybe some team that they feel like is good enough to win a championship right now potentially, but maybe they fall short and suddenly they get extra motivation to try to acquire somebody like Giannis to push them over the top. We shall see. That's kind of the backdrop of what's going on right now around the NBA specifically. But one thing that is interesting is there's been some reporting that the Warriors would be they would be okay with, if the right deal presented itself, including Draymond Green in a deal. And I think the theoretical deal that we would be talking about here is the one that we've been talking about, which is Giannis. There's a report that maybe the Warriors would like to keep Jimmy Butler in town, and specifically his contract. When we try to figure out deals and trades, specifically with a team like the Warriors that is hard capped at the second apron, all you need to know is that they cannot take more money back. They have to either make it even or take less money back, and if they're taking less money back, there has to be a team on the other end that does not have the same kind of financial caps that the Warriors do. But essentially, you need the money to be even. That's the easiest way to think about it. The money that you send out and the money that you bring in has to, for the most part, be even. Why Jimmy Butler has kind of just logically been thrown into any Giannis trade is because those two make the same amount of money. And if you just swap those two, that works. All right. And, of course, you're going to add in a lot of picks and all that to make it worth Milwaukee's while. But that makes sense financially, and it's pretty easy to get it done. However, Monty Poole was on with Willard and Dibbs here on 95.7 The Game earlier today and said the Warriors would not be opposed to including Draymond Green in the right deal if that meant getting the deal done. Essentially what Monty Poole said, and he said this as well, I'm paraphrasing here, but essentially said the only untouchable for the Warriors is Steph Curry. Everybody else, and he meant everybody else, is on the table. It is not an immediate stop. if anybody else is included in a potential trade in the right situation, of course. That is the reporting from those in the know. Draymond Green was asked about the trade deadline postgame today, and he said, quote, "I've been here for 14 years. I have no reason to sit and worry about leaving, but if I'm traded, that's part of the business." And he later said, "I ain't losing no sleep, though. I slept great last night." That's Draymond Green postgame tonight when talking about just trade rumors in general and his name potentially popping up in those. It is interesting to hear Draymond Green discuss it that way. I mean, he's saying the right things, and I do very much believe that is actually what Draymond thinks. He's always one to speak his mind, and I applaud Draymond for that. It is just interesting that it's something that we're talking about because Draymond Green has been one of the faces of this organization for such a long time, and I know there's been a lot of talk about Draymond, and maybe his impact isn't anywhere near as positive as it used to be or had been, but when the player that you might be acquiring on the other end is someone of Giannis's ability, it's hard to not say somebody like that could potentially be available. Anybody but Steph, and that makes sense because Steph is another kind of player on Giannis's level, and you're not going to trade away Steph while he's still playing at this high of a level. So interesting there from Draymond Green, there's no doubt. Yeah, we'll see how it all plays out. Next week is going to be really, really interesting. There's no doubt. We got Radio Row ahead of the Super Bowl 60 at Levi Stadium. All of our shows will be out at Moscone Center for Radio Row. And then there's the little minor detail of the trade deadline, and who knows, maybe the Warriors make a big swing and they acquire Giannis Antetokounmpo ahead of Thursday's deadline. We shall see. It's going to be really, really fun to watch this all play out. If I was a betting man, I'd bet no gigantic deal for Giannis at this trade deadline, and the Warriors largely keep and hold on to a lot of their assets, and they maybe make a push for him in the offseason. I would guess that Draymond Green's going to finish out this year for the Warriors, and I think the odds are still beyond that as well. The nightmare scenario, I think, if you are the Warriors, is the Bucks tell you essentially, all right, Golden State, all right, Mike Dunleavy, the Warriors GM, we like your offer, we're interested, but we think what's best for us is to wait until the offseason. Let's get back to this, say, in July. All right, let's table this for now, but come back with that offer in July, and we'll restart this process. And the Warriors say, okay, fine, let's do that. And then what happens in July is they get into a bidding war, and they lose the bidding war to, say, a team like the Miami Heat or somebody like that. Maybe the Bucks are interested in a young player like Kel'el Ware, and maybe that's enough to push the Bucks to accept the Miami Heat's offer. And suddenly the Warriors are left at the table with all of their assets, with their white whale, the guy that they've seemingly been targeting for years now, no longer available. And what do the Warriors do then? That's a conversation 4 months from now. If it does play out that way, that is one that me personally, I think would be one of the Warriors' worst case scenarios. They still have all of their assets, which gives them flexibility, but you're at a point in Steph Curry's career where I don't think you should just keep hoarding all of your assets. Specifically, if you've been hoarding all of your assets for a potential Giannis move at some point, and if you can't get the Giannis move to go, then what do you do at that point? I get that you have flexibility and an ability to pivot, right? But where do you pivot to if the guy that you've been waiting for doesn't ultimately come to the Golden State Warriors? We'll see how it all plays out. All right. Warriors fall tonight to the Detroit Pistons, 131-124. The Warriors now 27-23. They're 2-4 since Jimmy Butler tore his ACL. They lost to Toronto, lost to Dallas, split versus Minnesota, beat the Jazz, and lost tonight to the Detroit Pistons. Good news, despite Steph's right knee soreness, is the Warriors have 3 full days off. Off Saturday, off Sunday, off Monday. They host the Philadelphia 76ers coming up on Tuesday here from Chase Center at 7 o'clock. All right. Now that's going to do it here for Warriors Wrap Up tonight. Thank you so much for tuning in. Also, thanks to Dumpling Time here at Thrive City, right outside of Chase Center. I tried the chili pork dumplings tonight, and they were delicious. I recommend giving them a try next time you're headed to a game. Stop by Dumpling Time, grab something to eat, something to drink, then make your way inside. Maybe you're headed here on Tuesday for Tyrese Maxey and Joel Embiid and the Sixers. This is a great spot to stop before the game, or, even after the game as well. You grab something to eat and to drink. Okay. Thanks so much to everybody for tuning in. Thanks again to Dumpling Time for hosting me here tonight. Thanks to Cam Williams back in our downtown San Francisco studios. Also to Steven Risotto. And thanks to all of you for tuning in on this Friday. Have a wonderful weekend. We'll talk to you on Monday coming up from Radio Row. We also, of course, have local coverage tomorrow here on 95.7 The Game with Warriors This Week beginning at 9 in the morning. For now, though, my name is Mark Rennie signing off. Thanks so much for tuning in. We'll talk next time on 95.7 The Game.
I'm Bob Burke, founder and chairman of Burke America Parts Group, a family of brands that includes RepairClinic.com, an appliance and HVAC parts solution company that's grown into an international brand. Before AmericanEagle.com, we partially launched